I always thought my wedding day would be the happiest day of my life. Instead, it became the moment I finally understood that my sister would never let me have anything that was truly mine. My name is Tessa, and 5 years ago, I stood in front of the mirror in my wedding dress, trying to calm my nerves before walking down the aisle. That's when Jade burst into the bridal suite, practically glowing with excitement. Tess! Oh my God, I have the most amazing news! She grabbed my hands, bouncing on her toes like we were teenagers again. I'm pregnant. The world stopped spinning for a moment. I stared at her, my mouth going dry. What? I know, right? I just found out this morning. She twirled in her bridesmaid dress, her perfect curls bouncing. I wasn't going to say anything, but I just couldn't keep it in anymore. Mom and Dad are going to flip. Jade, I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. Could you maybe wait until tomorrow to tell everyone? She looked at me like I'd suggested she jump off a bridge. But everyone's here now, the whole family. It's perfect timing. Before I could respond, my mother rushed in. Girls, we're almost ready to... She stopped, noticing Jade's expression. What's going on? Mom, Jade squealed. I'm having a baby. What followed was exactly what I'd feared. My mother burst into tears, hugging Jade while I stood there in my wedding dress, forgotten. Within minutes, the news spread through the bridal party, then to the guests already seated in the church. Antonio's waiting at the altar. Remington, my best friend and colleague, poked her head in. But everyone's talking about... She caught my eye and stopped. I gripped my bouquet tighter, the stems cracking under my fingers. Let's just get this over with. The ceremony was a blur. As I walked down the aisle, I heard the whispers, saw the excited glances thrown at Jade instead of me. Even during our vows, I caught my father looking at her, beaming with pride. At the reception, my father's speech somehow became more about his upcoming grandchild than his daughter's marriage. And while we're celebrating one blessing today, he said, raising his glass, we've been doubly blessed with the news of our first grandchild. The crowd erupted in cheers. Jade stood up, basking in the attention, while I sat there in my white dress, feeling invisible. You okay? Antonio squeezed my hand under the table. I forced a smile. Of course, it's wonderful news. Later during the father-daughter dance, Dad couldn't help himself. Your sister's going to need you more than ever now, he said. You've always been the responsible one, Tessa, the steady one. The steady one, the responsible one, never the special one. I know, Dad, I replied, the words tasting bitter in my mouth. The night wore on, and every conversation somehow circled back to Jade's news. Even my new mother-in-law cornered me to gush about how exciting it was to have a wedding and a baby announcement on the same day. Around midnight, I found myself hiding in the venue's bathroom, staring at my reflection. Remington found me there. Want me to kill her? She offered, only half joking. I know people. I laughed despite myself. She's pregnant. We can't kill a pregnant woman. Fine, we'll wait 9 months. She handed me a tissue. You know this is messed up, right? You're allowed to be angry. What's the point? I wiped my eyes carefully, preserving what was left of my makeup. This is just how it's always been. Jade does whatever Jade wants, and everyone acts like it's perfectly normal. It's not normal, Tess. It's... My phone buzzed, interrupting her. Mom's name flashed on the screen. If that's another excited update about Jade's morning sickness, I swear to God. Remington muttered. I answered, expecting exactly that. But my mother's voice was different this time, shaky, afraid. Tessa, are you sitting down? There's something we need to talk about. I caught Remington's eye, my heart suddenly racing. Mom, what's wrong? It's about Jade, she said, and for once, The mention of my sister's name didn't fill me with resignation. This time, it filled me with dread. The bathroom door swung open, letting in the muffled sound of the reception's music and laughter. I gripped the phone tighter, knowing somehow that whatever came next would change everything. "Mom?" I pressed. "What about Jade?" Her voice cracked. "We need you to come home, right away." 5 years after my wedding, I sat in my parents' living room, staring at my sister's medical files spread across the coffee table. The same sister who had stolen my wedding spotlight was now dying of kidney failure. "Both kidneys are failing," my mother explained, her voice trembling. "The doctors say she needs a transplant within the next 6 months. And you've called me because—" I already knew the answer, but I needed to hear it. Dad leaned forward in his armchair. "You're the only match, Tessa. We've all been tested. Your mother, me, even some of Jade's close friends. But you're the only viable donor." The irony wasn't lost on me. After years of Jade taking everything from me, my body held the one thing she desperately needed. "Where is she?" I asked, noticing the unusual quiet in the house. "At the hospital," Mom replied. "She's been there for 3 days. The dialysis it's not going well." I picked up one of the medical reports, my therapy training helping me maintain a professional demeanor. "And she knows you're asking me?" "She doesn't want us to," Dad admitted. "She says she doesn't deserve to ask you for anything." "Well, she's right about that." The words came out sharper than I intended. "Tessa," Mom started, but I cut her off. "No, let's be honest for once. When was the last time Jade considered my feelings about anything? The wedding? The countless birthdays she hijacked? That scholarship she took even though she knew I'd been working toward it for years?" "That was a long time ago," Dad defended. "People change." My phone buzzed, a text from Antonio. "Everything okay? Need backup?" I typed back quickly, "Not yet. We'll call soon." "Tessa," Mom reached for my hand. "I know things haven't always been fair." I pulled away. "Fair? Mom, she announced her pregnancy at my wedding day. And she lost that baby 2 months later," Dad reminded me quietly. "Maybe that's why she's been the way she is." "She was like this long before that happened." I stood up, pacing the familiar living room. "And you both enabled it. Still do." The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken truths. Through the window, I watched our elderly neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, watering her roses, the same roses I'd helped her plant when I was 12, while Jade was inside charming our parents into buying her a new phone. My phone buzzed again, this time from Remington. "Remember, you don't owe anyone anything. Your body, your choice." "The procedure," I finally said, turning back to my parents. "What does it involve?" Mom's face lit up with hope. "The doctors can explain everything. It's very safe nowadays." "I haven't said yes," I interrupted. "I'm just asking." Dad stood up, approaching me carefully. "Sweetheart, I know this is a lot to process, but she's your sister." "Is she?" I met his eyes. "Because from where I'm standing, she's been more like a tornado that keeps destroying everything in my life while you two clean up after her." "That's not fair," Mom protested. "No." I picked up my purse. "Tell me, if the situations were reversed, would Jade donate her kidney to me?" Neither of them answered. They didn't have to. "I need time to think," I said, heading for the door. "She doesn't have much time, Tessa," Dad called after me. I paused at the doorway, my hand on the knob. For once in her life, Jade will have to wait for something she wants. That night, I dreamed of my wedding day again, but this time, when Jade announced her pregnancy, I didn't stay quiet. In the dream, I turned to her and said what I should have said 5 years ago. "No, not today. Not everything gets to be about you." I woke up with tears on my face and Antonio's arms around me. You were talking in your sleep, he murmured. I was? Mm-hmm. You said no over and over. I sat up checking my phone. 3 missed calls from Mom, 2 from Dad, and a text from an unknown number that made my heart stop. Tessa, it's Jade. I know I have no right to ask you for anything, but please, if you can find it in your heart to hear me out, I'm in room 415 at Memorial Hospital. I understand if you don't come. I wouldn't come if I were you. Antonio read the message over my shoulder. What are you going to do? I stared at the phone, feeling the weight of power shift for the first time in our relationship. I'm going to make her earn it. Earn what? My forgiveness, I said, getting out of bed. And my kidney. For the first time since my wedding day, I felt completely in control. Jade needed something only I could give her, and for once, she'd have to play by my rules. You're seriously considering this? Remington set her coffee mug down hard enough to make the break room table shake. We were between therapy sessions at the clinic where we both worked, and I'd just told her about my plan. Not considering. I've decided. I pulled up Jade's Instagram on my phone, still perfectly curated despite her illness, showing her hospital room transformed into what looked like a luxury hotel suite. Look at this, even dying she's performing. Remington leaned over. 200,000 likes on a hospital selfie? Your sister's really something else. She's an influencer now. Everything's content. I scrolled through the comments. So brave. Stay strong, Queen. Praying for you. If they only knew. And you want her to tell them? I want her to tell everyone the truth about everything. I locked my phone. That's my price. Antonio's voice came from the doorway. The truth about what, exactly? I turned to find my husband watching me with concern. He worked as a pediatrician in the same medical complex, and our lunch breaks often overlapped. About who she really is, I said. About what she's done. He sat down, unwrapping his sandwich. Tess, I get it, but using your kidney as leverage, that's cruel, I finished. More cruel than what she did to me? 2 wrongs don't make a right, he said gently. Remington snorted. No, but 3 lefts do. Sometimes people need a wake-up call. My next patient's file buzzed on my phone. Sarah, 16, struggling with an emotionally manipulative sister. The irony wasn't lost on me. I need to get back. I stood up. But think about it. Jade has built her whole brand on being this perfect, inspiring person. Maybe it's time her followers saw the real her. In my office, I couldn't focus on Sarah's session. As she talked about her sister's latest betrayal, I kept seeing parallels to my own situation. And then she told everyone at school that I tried to steal her boyfriend. Sarah wiped her eyes. But I didn't. He asked me for help with his college applications, that's all. I handed her a tissue. How did that make you feel? Like I wanted to hurt her back, Sarah admitted. Is that terrible? No, I said, perhaps too quickly. It's human to want justice. After Sarah left, I sat at my desk, staring at the degrees on my wall. Family therapist. Here I was, supposedly an expert in healing family relationships, plotting revenge against my own sister. My phone buzzed again. Mom. Jade's asking for you. Please come see her. I typed back. I'll come tomorrow. I have conditions. The response was immediate. Conditions? Tessa, she's your sister. Yes, and I'm her only hope. Tell her to be ready to talk at 10 a.m. That evening, I rehearsed what I'd say to Jade. Antonio found me pacing in our kitchen, talking to myself. You sound like you're preparing for court, he said, wrapping his arms around me from behind. Maybe I am, the court of public opinion. He turned me to face him. What happens if she says no? Then she doesn't get my kidney. And you could live with that? I pulled away. Could you live with letting someone who hurt you over and over just take a piece of you without any accountability? She's dying, Tess. She's been killing me slowly for years. The words echoed in our kitchen. Every time she took something that mattered to me, every time she made me feel small, every time our parents chose her, she's been killing the person I could have been. Antonio was quiet for a long moment. Just make sure this is really about accountability and not revenge. I went to bed early but couldn't sleep. Around midnight, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Hi, Tessa. This is Jennifer, Jade's old roommate from college. I heard about what's happening. There are some things you should know. I sat up, fully awake now. Jennifer had been Jade's best friend until they had a mysterious falling out 3 years ago. No one knew what happened, and Jade had blocked Jennifer on all social media. I'm listening, I typed back. Not over text. Can we meet? There's a lot you don't know about your sister. I thought about it for a moment. Coffee shop on 5th Street, 9 a.m. tomorrow. I'll be there, and Tessa, don't let her manipulate you. Not again. I lay back down, my mind racing. What did Jennifer know? What else had Jade done that I didn't know about? Tomorrow, I'd meet Jennifer. Then I'd face my sister and lay out my terms. For once, Jade would have to face the consequences of her actions. As I finally drifted off, I thought about Sarah, my young patient, and her desire for justice. Sometimes I realized the kindest thing we can do for someone is to make them face their own truth, even if it hurts. Especially if it hurts. Jennifer was already waiting when I arrived at the coffee shop, nervously shredding a napkin. She looked different from the polished sorority girl I remembered, more serious, with dark circles under her eyes. Thanks for meeting me, she said as I sat down. I've been following Jade's social media posts about her condition. You mean her perfectly filtered hospital photo shoots? Jennifer's laugh was bitter. Some things never change. Did you know she stole my boyfriend's senior year? I blinked. What? That's not even the worst part. She pulled out her phone. I've kept everything. Screenshots, texts, emails. I thought someday I'd need proof. She slid the phone across the table. What I saw made my coffee turn cold in my stomach. Screenshots of Jade's messages to Jennifer's then-boyfriend, dating back to when they were roommates. But it wasn't just about the boyfriend. There were messages about business ideas Jennifer had shared with Jade in confidence, which later became Jade's original social media ventures. She built her whole influencer career on stolen ideas. Jennifer's voice cracked. My ideas. And when I confronted her, she turned all our friends against me, said I was jealous, unstable. Classic Jade, I muttered. There's more. Jennifer took her phone back, scrolling. Remember your wedding? The pregnancy announcement? How could I forget? She wasn't pregnant. The world stopped. What? She bought a positive test online, planned the whole thing weeks in advance. I found the receipt in our apartment. Jennifer's hands shook. 2 months later, when she claimed she lost the baby, there was never any baby to lose. I gripped the table's edge, feeling sick. Why are you telling me this now? Because I saw your parents' post asking for kidney donors, and She met my eyes. I couldn't let her take something else from you without you knowing the whole truth. My phone buzzed. Mom, where are you? Jade's waiting. I have to go. I stood up. Thank you, Jennifer, for everything. Tessa? She caught my arm. Make her pay. The hospital corridor seemed longer than usual as I walked to Jade's room. My parents were waiting outside. Finally, Mom started, but I walked past her without a word. Jade lay in her hospital bed, somehow still managing to look Instagram ready despite the IV lines. Her eyes widened when she saw my expression. Everyone out, I said quietly. Now, Tessa, Dad began. Out. They left, closing the door behind them. Jade and I stared at each other in silence. You look good, she tried. Shut up. I pulled out my phone, showing her Jennifer's screenshots. Want to explain? Her face went pale. You talked to Jennifer? Fake pregnancy announcement at my wedding? Stealing her ideas? Tell me, Jade, is there anything real about you? I can explain. No, I cut her off. For once in your life, you're gonna listen. I have your matching kidney. If you want it, here are my terms. She swallowed hard, nodding. You're gonna post a video. A real one. No filters, no script. You're gonna tell your followers everything. The wedding, Jennifer, all of it. Every lie, every manipulation. That would destroy my career, she whispered. Should have thought about that before you built it on lies. Please, Tessa. I'm not finished. After the video, you're going to tell Mom and Dad everything, too. They deserve to know who they've been defending all these years. Tears rolled down her cheeks. They'll hate me. Welcome to my world. A nurse knocked, entering with medication. I stood up to leave. You have until tomorrow to decide, I said. Your kidney, your choice. In the hallway, my parents waited anxiously. What's going on? Mom demanded. Jade's crying. Ask her, I replied. For once in your lives, ask her the real questions. I was halfway to the elevator when Jade's voice came over the hospital PA system. Tessa, wait, please come back. People in the hallway turned to stare. I kept walking. I'll do it. Her voice echoed through the building. I'll tell everyone everything. Just please, please don't leave. I stopped, my hand on the elevator button. Behind me, I heard confused murmurs from hospital staff and visitors. My parents stood frozen in the hallway, looking bewildered. Slowly, I turned around. Jade had dragged herself and her IV pole to her doorway, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. You're right, about everything. I'll do whatever you want. Just, please don't let me die. For the first time in our lives, I saw my sister without her carefully constructed mask. No filters, no performance, just raw, desperate truth. I walked back toward her room, past our shocked parents, past the staring nurses. Get your phone, I told her. It's time to start filming. Hey everyone. Jade's voice trembled as she spoke to her phone's camera. No filters today, no editing, just truth. I stood in the corner of her hospital room, arms crossed, while our parents sat stunned in the visitors' chairs. The heart rate monitor beeped steadily in the background. I've built my entire social media presence on a lie, she continued. Actually, I've built my entire life on lies, and it's time to come clean. She glanced at me. I nodded for her to continue. 5 years ago at my sister's wedding, I announced I was pregnant. The truth is, I wasn't. Her voice cracked. I bought a fake test, planned the whole thing just to steal her spotlight. And when I pretended to lose the baby 2 months later, I used that for attention too. Mom gasped. Dad's face went ashen. But that's not all. Jade wiped her tears. My successful business ideas, stolen from my college roommate Jennifer. My perfect life, carefully curated lies. The confession went on for 15 minutes. With each revelation, our parents seemed to physically shrink in their chairs. When Jade finally finished, her follower count was already dropping by the thousands. Comments are coming in, she whispered, staring at her phone. Unfollow. Disgusting. Cancel her. She looked up at me. Happy now? Before I could answer, the door burst open. A hospital PR representative rushed in, looking panicked. Miss Brewer, we're getting calls from media outlets. This video is going viral. Good, I said. Not good, she countered. Your sister's medical condition is now public knowledge, and there are allegations of organ donation coercion. This could become a legal nightmare. My stomach dropped. I hadn't considered that angle. Mom finally found her voice. Jade, how could you? The pregnancy, the wedding? I'm sorry, Jade whispered. Sorry doesn't begin to cover it. Dad stood up, looking older than I'd ever seen him. We defended you. For years we defended you. Dad, no. He held up his hand. I can't, I can't even look at you right now. They left the room, Mom sobbing, Dad supporting her. The PR representative followed, already on her phone with damage control. Jade's phone kept buzzing with notifications. My sponsors are dropping me, she said numbly. Everything I built? You mean everything you stole? You've ruined my life. No, I corrected her. You ruined your life. I just made you admit it. A new notification popped up on her phone. She stared at it, then started laughing, a hollow, desperate sound. What? I asked. It's trending. Jade Brewer is over party. She showed me the screen. But look at the comments under it. I took the phone. Among the hate and cancellation posts were other stories. Women sharing their experiences with toxic siblings, stories of wedding disasters, stolen opportunities, family betrayals. You've started something, Jade said quietly. But maybe I can make it mean something. What are you talking about? She sat up straighter, wiping her eyes. What if, what if I used this? Really used it? Not for attention or likes, but to start a conversation about accountability, about toxic family dynamics? I scoffed. More manipulation? No, she met my eyes. Real this time, raw, honest, a movement about owning our mistakes and making amends. She grabbed her phone, hands shaking. I could go live right now, talk about why I did what I did, about growing up always feeling like I needed to be the center of attention, about therapy, about change. And this has nothing to do with saving your image? It has everything to do with saving my life, not just the kidney, my actual life, being honest for once. She looked at me pleadingly. Will you help me? Before I could answer, Jennifer appeared in the doorway. I saw the video, she said. Everyone's seeing it. Jade's face crumpled. Jennifer, Save it. Jennifer walked in, pulling up a chair. But I heard what you just said about starting a movement, about accountability. She glanced at me. Maybe it's not the worst idea. My phone buzzed. A text from Antonio. Have you seen Twitter? This is bigger than you and Jade now. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. Behind the fear and desperation, I saw something I'd never seen before, a glimmer of genuine remorse. If we do this, I said slowly, it has to be real. No more performances. Jade nodded eagerly. I promise. And you'll get professional help? Already asked the nurse for therapist recommendations. Jennifer and I exchanged looks. The heart monitor kept its steady rhythm as we stood on the edge of something that felt bigger than our personal drama. Okay, I finally said, let's go live. We're trending in 27 countries, Remington announced, walking into Jade's hospital room with her laptop. 2 weeks had passed since the initial confession video, and what started as a scandal had evolved into something none of us expected. The Today Show called again, Jennifer added, not looking up from her phone. She'd become our unofficial media coordinator. They want both of you on Monday. Jade adjusted her hospital bed to sit up straighter. Despite the dialysis treatments, she looked stronger, more present. Maybe it was the weight of secrets lifting from her shoulders. What do you think? She asked me. Should we do it? Before I could answer, a notification pinged on the room's TV, which was streaming comments from our latest live session. My sister stole my college fund and my parents still defend her. Jade read aloud. Your story gave me the courage to finally confront them. That's the 5th story like that today, Jennifer noted. I watched another comment scroll past. Started therapy because of searing sisterhood accountability. Thank you for showing me it's okay to set boundaries. We should do the show, I decided. But no makeup team, no wardrobe styling. We do this our way. Jade nodded. Raw and real. A knock at the door interrupted us. Mom stood there, looking uncertain. Can I come in? The room fell silent. We hadn't seen our parents since the confession video. They'd been processing, according to their texts. Of course, Jade said softly. Mom walked in slowly, taking in the laptops, phones, and makeshift media center we'd created in the hospital room. I've been watching your videos, she said. All of them. The lives, the discussions about family dynamics. She took a shaky breath. I owe you both an apology. Mom, Jade started. No, let me finish. Mom pulled up a chair. I failed you, Jade, by never holding you accountable. And Tessa, her voice broke. I failed you by making you feel less important, less special. You were always the strong one because we never gave you a choice to be anything else. Remington quietly gathered her things. We'll give you guys some space. She and Jennifer slipped out, leaving us with our mother. Where's Dad? I asked. Still struggling, Mom admitted, but he's watching too. He even joined one of those online support groups for parents dealing with family conflict. Jade's phone buzzed. Another media request. She ignored it. I'm sorry, Mom, she said, for making you and Dad look foolish, for manipulating everyone. I'm sorry too, I added, for using the kidney as leverage. Don't apologize for that, Mom surprised us by saying. Sometimes it takes something dramatic to break unhealthy patterns. Look what you've created. She gestured to the TV, where the hashtag Sisterhood Accountability was still trending. Stories poured in from around the world. Sisters confronting decades of rivalry, families beginning healing processes, people seeking therapy. We're getting messages from psychologists wanting to contribute, I explained. They're offering professional perspectives on sibling dynamics, family trauma. And people are actually listening, Jade added. Not just for the drama, but for the healing. A notification popped up on my phone, a message from one of my therapy clients. Watched your live session with your sister. Finally told my parents about my brother's bullying. They're getting him help. Mom read it over my shoulder. You two have started something important. We're thinking of turning it into a foundation, Jade said, using my platform for actual good this time, supporting family therapy programs, funding counseling for people who can't afford it. With proper credit to the people whose ideas we use, I added pointedly. Jade managed a small smile. Obviously. The door opened again. This time it was Antonio with lunch. Brought enough for everyone, he said, then noticed Mom. Oh, hello. Stay, Mom stood up. I should go anyway. Your father? We're having our first therapy session this afternoon. As she headed for the door, she turned back. Girls, I'm proud of you. Both of you. For different reasons. After she left, we divided up the sandwiches Antonio brought. Jade picked at hers, looking thoughtful. What is it? I asked. The Today Show appearance, she said. I want to use it to announce something. The foundation? No. She met my eyes. I want to tell everyone that I'm declining your kidney. Antonio dropped his sandwich. What? I can't take it, Jade continued. Not even with the confession, not even with the movement we've started. It needs to be my choice to face consequences. I stared at my sister, this new version of her I was just getting to know. The doctors say I can survive on dialysis while I wait for another donor, she added. It might take years, but maybe I need those years to prove I've really changed. Antonio squeezed my hand as I processed this. You'd do that? I asked. Give up a guaranteed donation? Jade nodded. It's time I saved myself instead of taking from others. For the first time in our lives, I saw my sister clearly. and she saw herself. The Today Show studio was smaller than I expected. Jade sat beside me on the interview couch, both of us makeup free as promised. The host, Maria, adjusted her earpiece as the producer counted down. 3, 2, 1. We're here with sisters Tessa and Jade, whose viral story about kidney donation and family accountability has sparked a global conversation. Maria began, "Ladies, thank you for being here. Thank you for having us," I replied, feeling the heat of the studio lights. "Jade, let's start with you. You're declining your sister's kidney donation. Why?" Jade took a deep breath. "Because true accountability means accepting consequences. I've spent my whole life taking from others, especially Tessa, taking her moments, her opportunities. I can't take her kidney too, even if it means waiting years for another donor." Even then, Jade's voice was steady. "Our movement, just sisterhood accountability, isn't just about confessing past wrongs. It's about doing the work to become better." Maria turned to me. "Tessa, how do you feel about your sister's decision?" Before I could answer, a commotion erupted backstage. Through the studio doors, I saw our father pushing past security. "Sir, you can't," a producer started. "Those are my daughters." Dad's voice carried across the set. Maria looked uncertainly at the cameras. "Should we cut?" "No," I said, standing up. "Let him come." Dad walked onto the set, looking lost under the bright lights. He hadn't shaved in days, and his eyes were red-rimmed. "I'm sorry to interrupt," he said, "but I've been watching everything from home, and I couldn't stay silent anymore." The studio was absolutely quiet. Even the cameramen seemed to be holding their breath. "Dad?" Jade's voice was small. He turned to face the cameras. "I'm these girls' father, and I need to be part of this accountability movement too, because I failed them both." Maria, ever the professional, gestured to an empty chair. "Would you like to join us?" Dad sat down heavily. I watched my youngest daughter hurt my oldest daughter over and over, and instead of stopping it, I made excuses. I told Tessa to be understanding, to be the bigger person. I put the responsibility of keeping peace on a child who deserved to be protected. Tears rolled down Jade's cheeks. I felt my own eyes burning. "And Jade," he continued, "I failed you by never teaching you consequences. I thought I was showing love, but I was teaching you that it was okay to hurt people, that you wouldn't have to face the results of your actions." Maria handed him a tissue. "You've been in therapy since this started?" "3 times a week," Dad nodded, "learning about enabling, about healthy family dynamics. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, looking at my own failures as a father." "It wasn't all failures," I found myself saying. "You loved us." "Love isn't enough," he replied. "You have to love people the right way, the way that helps them grow." Jade reached for his hand. "Dad." "No, let me finish." He straightened in his chair. "I've made a decision too. I'm going to get tested as a kidney donor." "What?" Jade and I said simultaneously. "You're my daughter, Jade. If anyone should make this sacrifice for you, it should be me, not your sister who you've already taken so much from." The studio lights suddenly felt too bright. Maria leaned forward, sensing the moment. "Would you be willing to share this journey with our viewers? The testing process, the therapy, the healing of your family?" I looked at Jade, then at our father. Something was shifting, like tectonic plates finally finding their proper alignment. "Yes," Jade said firmly, "but not as content, not as entertainment, as truth. Raw and real," I added, echoing our new motto. Dad squeezed Jade's hand. "Together this time, the right way." Maria turned to the camera. "We'll take a quick break and be right back with more from this extraordinary family." As soon as the red lights on the cameras went dark, Dad pulled both of us into a hug. It was awkward and tearful and real, everything our family had never allowed itself to be. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." My phone buzzed in my pocket, a message from Jennifer. "Twitter's exploding. Your dad just took the Mauer sisterhood accountability to family accountability." Another message popped up from Remington. "This is what healing looks like. Real, messy, unscripted healing." The producer started counting down again. We pulled apart, wiping our eyes. "Ready to keep going?" Maria asked gently. I looked at my sister and my father, seeing them clearly for perhaps the first time. No masks, no performances, no desperate grabs for attention or approval. Just three people doing the hard work of becoming better. "Ready," we said together. The red lights blinked on, and we continued our story, not for views or likes or trending hashtags, but for truth, for healing, for hope. "Testing complete," Dr. Rivera announced, looking up from her tablet. "Congratulations, sir. You're a match." Dad gripped the arms of his chair in the consultation room. Jade reached for his hand while I sat nearby, still processing the news. "What are the risks?" Mom asked from her corner seat. "Given his age and health, moderate, but manageable." Dr. Rivera turned to Dad. "The choice is yours." "No," Dad said firmly. "The choice is Jade's." My sister looked startled. "What do you mean?" "I'm offering my kidney," he explained. "But you need to decide if you're ready to accept it. Really ready." The accountability movement we'd started had grown beyond us. Our foundation now funded therapy for hundreds of families. Support groups had sprung up worldwide. But this moment, this was still deeply personal. "I've been in therapy for 3 months," Jade said slowly, "working on my narcissistic tendencies, my need for attention, my history of manipulation." She squeezed Dad's hand. "But I don't want to accept your kidney just to prove I've changed." "Then why would you accept it?" I asked. She met my eyes. "Because I want to live, not for followers or fame or approval. Just live. Do better. Be better." Dr. Rivera cleared her throat. "We don't need an answer today. You can—" "Yes," Jade interrupted. "I accept, if you're sure, Dad." He nodded. "I've never been more sure of anything." Mom started crying. Dr. Rivera began explaining the procedure schedule, but a commotion outside the office interrupted her. Jennifer burst in, waving her tablet. "Sorry to interrupt, but you all need to see this." She pulled up a video that was trending. A teenage girl speaking directly to camera. "Because of the Brewer Sisters movement, I finally told my parents about my brother's abuse. He's getting help now. We all are. Thank you for showing us that families can heal." Another video started automatically after it. "Watching Jade decline her sister's kidney taught me that sometimes love means not taking something, even if it's offered. I finally stopped letting my mom guilt me into giving her money she'll never pay back." And another, "My father's watching these videos about family accountability. Yesterday, he apologized to me for the first time in my life." The room fell silent as we watched story after story unfold. "This is bigger than us now," I said quietly. "But it started with us," Jade replied, "with you forcing me to face myself. With you choosing to change," I corrected. Dad cleared his throat. "Dr. Rivera, how soon can we schedule the surgery?" "Given the test results, we could do it next week." "No," Jade said firmly. "Not until after the Foundation's first family therapy retreat. I promised to speak there." I smiled, recognizing this new version of my sister, one who kept her commitments to others. "2 weeks then," Dr. Rivera made some notes. "I'll have my team contact you with details." As we left the hospital, reporters were waiting outside. They'd been following our story since the Today Show appearance. "Any comment on the test results?" "Is it true you're a match?" Dad stepped forward. Yes, I'm a match, and yes, we're proceeding with the transplant. But more importantly, he looked at Jade and me. We're proceeding with healing, the right way this time. Later that evening, we gathered at my parents' house. Antonio brought dinner, Remington brought wine, and sparkling cider for Jade, who couldn't drink before surgery. And Jennifer brought her laptop to show us the latest foundation statistics. Over 10,000 families have signed up for sponsored therapy, she reported, and the accountability workshops are booked solid for 6 months. Speaking of accountability, Jade set down her glass. There's something I need to say. She turned to face me. Thank you, Tessa. Not for offering your kidney, for refusing to let me have it without earning it, for making me face myself. You did the hard part, I said. No, she shook her head. You did the hard part for years, watching me take and take, being the understanding one. I'm sorry it took almost dying for me to see it. Mom wiped her eyes. We're all seeing things clearly now. To clarity, Antonio raised his glass, and to healing. To healing? We echoed. My phone buzzed, a message from Sarah, my teenage patient. Saw your sister's latest video about choosing change. Finally stood up to my sister today. Thank you for showing me how. I showed the message to Jade. She smiled, a real smile, not her old camera-ready one. We're going to keep helping people, aren't we? She asked. Yes, I said, but this time we do it together, as equals. Dad wrapped an arm around each of us. Through the window, I could see Mrs. Patterson's roses blooming in the evening light, the same roses I'd helped plant all those years ago. Some things take time to grow, I realized. Some things have to break through hard ground to reach the sun. But with truth, with work, with real love, everything can bloom eventually, even us, especially us.